You're watching Day or Night X. X is for exotics. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. This spotlight is covering one of my favorite tarantulas in my collection. That's an Aphonopelma chalcodes. This one's name is Baby Gray, and they're referred to as the desert blonde. And these guys, if you follow any of the Aphonopelma species, they seem to have just a multitude of common names, and the one I've stuck to over the years with this one is the desert blonde. When I first got it, it was referred to, it was actually labeled as a flagstaff tarantula. It was just basically a flagstaff, and then I found out it was an Arizona blonde, and then it was a desert blonde, and then so I kind of just stuck with desert blonde and kind of just had all the common names under one little umbrella. Because it's one thing that I think everybody can refer to, that it's a very good desert type, quote unquote, species, and it's obviously very blonde. One of the main things I love about this species, as you're going to see in this spotlight, is the capability of being able to handle these teas almost as easily as you would handle a Euathlus species, and mainly a Euathlus species red. This tarantula I have worked with ever since she was a half-inch sling. I got her maybe 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now, and one of the things I love about her, like I said, is that you can actually handle these teas on a regular basis, and you see how docile she is. She wasn't always like that. When she was about an inch long, she was very flighty, but over the years I've worked with her, and she's just she knows me. I don't think she will allow anybody to just allow her to pick her up like that. And if you're a beginner, do not try this. This is something that I've been working with her over the years. Again, if anybody just went in this enclosure and picked her up like that, I don't think she would respond the same way. I am referring to her as a she right now because she is unsexed. I've thought she was a female for a while, then I thought she was a male. I never really got just that one molt where I could 100% confirm, and I'm still leaning towards the male side. But as you know, this species, male or female, can live very long, relatively speaking. Females can live almost up to 40 years. I know some have had tarantulas in that are 30 years plus. So either way, male or female, this is a very long-lived tarantula. So the sex of it really never played a part for me anyway. With this one, I never really even think about it. But as you can see here, these are very beautiful tarantulas. I did own a big, beautiful adult female that I believe was probably wild caught, and she most likely was the mother of this one because I got it from the same breeder. So most likely this is the offspring of that tarantula, and I actually put my older female into a breeding program because you just don't see a lot of adult females around all that often. I know a lot of people struggle to keep them. They don't really let go of them. I mean, so trying to obtain an adult female is very hard. I was lucky to get one, but I ended up putting her back into a breeding program, and I really, that's the best thing I could do with some of my tarantulas, is just put them into breeding programs and let them do what they were meant to do. And same with this one. There was another one that I bought, a sibling of this one, that I also put into a breeding program for the same reason that I thought they would do more good. These are beautiful species, and I wouldn't mind seeing some of these offspring filter out around, at least locally around here, because I know a lot of people like them, but they tend to bump the prices a little high on them because of the fact that they're so slow growing that when someone gets like a 2-inch or 3-incher, they'll bump the price up because a lot of people just don't want to wait for these guys to get up to size. Now, also what you're seeing here is that this one was due for a severe rehouse. She was in a mini critter keeper, and I decided to go ahead. It's time to just bump her up to a medium size or a small critter keeper. I'm not a huge fan of these critter keepers. I'm going to be switching them over hopefully in 2018. I'm going to be trying to get them more of a unique looking setup. I don't have tarantulas for breeding, so I can display setup them, and that's what I would like to do. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do that. I want to do something custom, something unique for them. Just haven't figured that out yet. So right now, the critter keepers are working just fine. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So went ahead and did a couple of these. Decided to go on this one mainly because this was my, I'm gonna call it Cyclocertum fasciatum because it died with that name. So they have recently changed the name. So Costa Rican tiger rump. I was in that enclosure and she loved to climb, so I put some rocks, I glued some rocks up into that enclosure, went ahead and cleaned it out, and thought I'd keep those rocks up there because this lady, a lot of Aphonopelmas are known for burrowing. My particular specimen loves to climb. She rarely ever is sitting on her substrate. She likes to just sit on the glass. So I thought, well, if she's just going to sit on the glass all day, why not give her something to cling to and make it a little more interesting, right? So thought this one would be perfect. It's already set up. I checked every rock. They're all glued in, not budging at all. So that was a quick fix for her. Just took her old hideout, stuck it right in there. She is not picky when it comes to enclosures. She just kind of, like I said, sits on the ground occasionally, and most of the time spends a lot of her time clinging to the side of the enclosure. Now, I don't think she's close to molting anytime soon, so I thought that was another reason why I just decided to put her in here. I like my Aphonopelmas to have a little bit more space because sometimes they do get burrowing tendencies, and you just like to have that little extra layer of substrate. You also want to have a little bit of extra room because they do like to move around. They're not like my Grammostolas would just sit in the same spot for 4 or 5 months. These guys are always moving. I rarely look in there and see her in the same spot. She's always on the move, and that's awesome because she's always doing something interesting in there, and that's why breeding program, no breeding program, male or female, I'm never getting rid of this one. She's one of my very first tarantulas. In fact, her and my Grammostola pulchripes were my second and third tarantulas. I actually got them the same day. So they're very, very special to me. They're some of my oldest tarantulas that I have raised. I have tarantulas that are older than them, but I didn't raise them. So raising them from slings is, you're talking half a decade now. It's just a unique experience you get with tarantulas that you don't get a lot of times in reptiles and small rodents and things like that. Now, offering this girl feeding, one thing that is very customary with her is her refusing meals. She's not a big eater at all. Rarely ever get to catch her on camera eating, which is crazy to me because her mother, the big adult female that I used to have, she was a vicious eater. I mean, the only time she refused a meal was when she was stuffed or when she was about to molt. This one here, I mean, maybe a few times a year she'll eat, and I'm not joking about that. Maybe 4 times a year she might eat. She's just not a big eater, which again leads me to think she might be male because I noticed some males will do that from time to time. They won't eat anything. But like I said, I'm not so much concerned about that. And I do offer, obviously, her food. I don't assume that she's not going to take anything, but she rarely takes anything. And if she does, it's usually right after a molt, a few months after a molt. And then once she has a meal, she'll sit on that meal and she's happy. She doesn't like it wet out there. She likes it a little more on the drier side, and that's fine because with a lot of my tarantulas, they pretty much all don't really like it too moist in there. But desert blonde, so obviously not a lot of water. This is an awesome tea. If you don't own one, I highly recommend them. They're a beautiful species. If you go to a reptile expo, you'll find one very cheap, relatively speaking, and you might find yourself one with some decent size. You just have to be careful if it's around that 3 or 4 inch mark that someone might be bumping the price up a little bit because they've already had a confirmed sex, a male. So you might want to be careful around that 3 to 4 inch mark. But if you get anything under 2 inches, go ahead and pull the trigger on it because these are awesome teas to raise. They're extremely easy to raise. They adapt very, very well, and I can't recommend them enough. And if you train, if you work with them, you can handle them. You don't have to. This is probably the only tea that I handle maybe a couple times a year. I don't handle any of my teas really all that often. But this is certainly one that if I have the opportunity, I will do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next spotlight. Take care, be you and be genuine, and be safe.